Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Syamiadi bin Nasaruddin and from J4AM110 my matric number is 2019400618. So for today I will make a video about F2 experiment. The title is Stability of Floating Body. So without wasting our time, let's check this video. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So now I will explain the experiment for the F2 experiment, which the title is Stability of the Floating Body. So for the objective of the experiment, to determine how the floating characteristic of a pontoon change as it is loaded with weight and teeth and tiles, and next is to determine the metacentric height of a pontoon and to investigate its stability. So for the safety procedure, the same for the all experiment, which is switch off all equipment after experiment and wear safety boot and lab coat. So next we will go to the apparatus and the procedure for the F2 experiment. So this is the apparatus for the floating body experiment. So first is the mass, and the 2 is the sliding mesh, and the number 3 on the bottom is the linear scale, and the number 4 is the adjustable mesh, and the number 5 is the transverse shaft, and the 6 is the pontoon body, and the number 7 is the plumb line, and the lastly is the pendulum. So we will go to the procedure of the experiment. So first we will open the transverse adjustable mesh and measure the weight of the adjustable weight, and we will get the weight of the adjustable mesh is the 290.1 gram. So next we will reassemble the adjustable mesh to the pontoon and measure the whole set of pontoon body, which is the weight of the whole set, where we will get 1988 gram. So next we will position the sliding mesh along the mass such that the center of gravity occurs at the top of pontoon. This can be determined by using either a knife edge or by suspending from a light string around the mass. So we will make sure the sliding mesh and the mesh is the center of the gravity. Make sure it will be center for the body with the body. And next we will fill in the sink of water. So next, before we put the body into the water, we will fill the tank, we will fill the sink with the water, and then we will put the pontoon into the water and float pontoon, assuring that the adjustable mesh in its central position. So after we put the pontoon into the water, we will adjust the mesh to the central position again. So next, for the number 5, check the zero datum between the plumb line and scale. We will check the datum and make sure it in the position of 0. And next, we will move the adjustable mesh to the right of the center in 10mm increment to the end of the scale, and then noting the angular displacement of the plumb line for each position. So after we make sure the datum at the 0, then we will adjust the mesh to the right of the center to 10mm increment to this point. And next, we will repeat the movement of the adjustable mesh to the left of the center, and then after put on the right, we will move to the left also. And with the expectation of weight, the adjustable weight, and refilling the volumetric tank, repeat the experiment step 5 to step 7 for the sliding mesh at the different height of the mesh, 50mm and 10mm for different center of gravity. So after we done for the first one, we will increase the height of the sliding mesh to the 50mm and 100mm, and we will repeat the experiment. So the number 9, we will record all reading in the result sheet, which is the experimental result. And lastly, once they finish the experiment, the water in the sink can be discharged by the opening the valve V7. So after we finish all the experiment, we will clear the water in the sink. So that's all for the objective, experiment, safety procedure, apparatus and the procedure for the F2 experiment. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Now I will show the calculation for the F2 experiment, which is the floating body, the stability of floating body. So in this experiment, we will calculate some calculation. So for the first calculation is the second moment of inertia. The second moment of area. And the second is the volume of water displaced. Third is the height of metacentric above buoyancy. And the fourth is depth of immersion of pontoon. The next is the center of buoyancy, and then lastly is the metacentric height or the sample data for 50 mm height. So now I will show the calculation. After finish the calculation for the F2 experiment, now I will go to the table and result. So first I have done do the table for the F2 experiment, where we will choose the right side only and the left side we did not choose. And the calculation of the height I have do before, and now I will just fill the table. After I finish the table, now we will do the graph for the F2 experiment. So the graph that we need to do is the displacement over angle. So we will do the tree of graph. So we will use the 0 mm height, 50 the height and 100 height. Lastly, for the conclusion of this experiment, which is the experiment for stability of floating bodies. So first, the result that we get successfully achieved for the all result, which we can do the result with the calculation that given in the lab sheet and the all data that need to fill by us by the student have successfully achieved. So next, which the objective of the experiment which to determine the how the floating characteristic of a Puntun change as it is loaded with weight and times, and to determine the metacentric height of a Puntun and to investigate its stability is successfully achieved and successfully understand. So next is the experimental result and the theoretical result. As we can see in the the graph we get for the three different height, we get the graph is almost the same angle for the three type of graph, where the graph we will get the increase where when the displacement increase and then the angle will be increased too. So next is the application of the experiment. So as we can see the application for the stability of floating body, we can see in the boats at the sea where the boat have to need to stable when they brought the ship. And lastly, which is the suggestion methods of the improvement for the experiment. So my suggestion for the experiment, which we will take 2 or 3 times the value of the experiment, where when we get the value of the experiment result, then we can take the average value where we can get the exact value, or we can say the accurate value of the experiment. So that's it for the F2 experiment stability of floating body. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and thank you.